Mank! Old-timey Hollywood never quite looks this good. Welcome back to the David Fincher series, ladies and gentlemen. Well, here we are, finally. I just got done watching Mank on Netflix, and I am so ready to dig deeper into this with you guys. Of course, directed by the one and only David Fincher, written by his father Zack, actually. And this one stars a stacked cast: Gary Oldman, Amanda Seyfried, Lily Collins, and Charles Dance, just to name a few. And in this film, 1930s Hollywood is reevaluated through the eyes of scathing wit and alcoholic screenwriter Herman J. Mankiewicz, played here by Gary Oldman. All as he races to finish what's considered by many to be the greatest and most influential film ever made: Citizen Kane. So I've seen a fair amount of reviews for this film already from some friends here on YouTube, and man, oh man, this movie is polarizing. So I clicked on this film today on Netflix with that little feeling of concern deep down in my gut. But seeing as how David Fincher's name was on this, I had all the faith in him and I trusted him to bring me some movie magic right now. And just to start with the positives, this film is borderline very good. I didn't hate this movie like some people did. I really like it. I was really entertained by it at some points, actually. It's not David Fincher's best film by any stretch of the imagination, though. But let's first discuss what worked about Mank. First of all, the given is just how well made this film is. David Fincher's direction is fantastic. There's so many long one-takes sprinkled throughout. The editing is so picture perfect. The Reznor and Ross score is so unbelievably old-fashioned. It feels like an old-time Broadway score almost. There are brass instruments aplenty. It might actually be one of my favorite scores that's been composed this year. Now granted, these are all things that you should come to expect in a film with David Fincher's name on it. But there are two things that really help Mank stand out from some of the other Fincher films. And I'm going to talk a little bit about them right now: the production design and the technical design. I mean, look at these costumes. Look at the black and white picture. Ugh, this just feels like a film that was released 80 years ago. But with a better budget, of course. It even has those little cigarette burns pop up on the top right corner of the screen every now and then. You guys know what I'm talking about. That was the signal for the projectionists back in the day to switch the reels. That attention to detail, similar to Zodiac, which I also reviewed here on the channel, that is probably the biggest praise I can give Mank, technically speaking and historically speaking. It is seeping with beautiful, gorgeous filmmaking throughout, and again, it really does feel like a film that was released in the 30s. And it also feels to me for the first time that David Fincher was really able to play with his filmmaking. I can only imagine how excited he must have been to work on a film like this, and honestly, it shows. I gotta talk about Gary Oldman also, because he has been one of my favorite actors working today for a really long time. I've been a fan of his pretty much ever since I saw him in theaters for the first time in Prisoner of Azkaban as Sirius Black. And lately, especially with his role as Winston Churchill in Darkest Hour, he has been getting all of the accolades that he so much deserves now. And after watching Mank especially, I'm convinced that he's one of the most skilled actors alive. Similar to Churchill in Darkest Hour, but to a lesser extent in the prosthetic department, he disappears into Mank. He is such a dynamic presence every time he steps into frame. He was extremely entertaining to watch. I mean, all the actors are really great across the board. Amanda Seyfried is really good with her moments. You got Lily Collins in here. She was really good. Charles Dance, oh my gosh, was he great. It was also really cool to see some of this cast bring to life some of the Hollywood icons of yesteryear. I'm talking about Louis B. Mayer. You got George Kaufman in here. And of course, you got Orson Welles himself. He's played by Tom Burke here, and honestly, man, the resemblance is uncanny. Obviously, I've got no problem with the work these actors did on this film, but the characters are actually where my issues start to come up. Yeah, Mank himself is portrayed as a wisecracker, and trust me, I really dig those types of characters. But aside from his wit and his struggle with alcoholism, that's really all there was to his character. And because we know so little about him, he's not overly investing or interesting, really. I mean, come to think of it, none of the characters are. They have some redeeming qualities and flaws to them for sure, but I wish that they would have been fleshed out a little bit more. And in the process, it would have given me an overall reason to get behind them, Mank especially. I don't know if that's a problem with the writing or what, but I was really confused. I was like, shouldn't I be behind this guy by this point? And I asked myself that around the halfway point, and I never really got any answers. I mean, sure, you get the ending of this film, which I won't spoil for you guys just in case, but the ending is just infuriating. And I feel like the ending would have been way more effective if the characters were a little bit more investing. Like, there would have been a little bit more emotional impact when I saw what happened. But nope, it just feels like a gigantic pipe bomb on Mank's life. Also, to get into this next thing, I'm not going to name names, but I'm seeing a lot of reviews where they're calling this a love letter to Hollywood. It may be a love letter to old-time Hollywood, but some are calling it a love letter to Hollywood as it is right now. I can certainly see why people are saying that, because similar to today, Hollywood in the 30s was going through a huge financial crisis. But in terms of calling this a love letter to Hollywood, I strongly disagree. And you want to know why? A lot of people who know me personally know that I'm an actor. My dream job is to eventually become a paying actor myself. I want to become a jack of all trades. I want to do film, I want to do television, I want to do stage. I want to be able to do it all. Because I love the human experience. I love being able to get into other people's shoes and really find out what they're thinking. And I love portraying these people for varied purposes of entertainment. I gotta tell you guys, speaking personally, I've been doing acting for almost 10 years now. There's nothing like it. And I keep going back because I love doing it. Thinking back on this film, I really don't remember a single time where a character in Mank was talking about their passion for the industry. Not one time. Now, a lot of my fellow actors today that I talk to, I'm so glad to be able to call a lot of them friends. Every single one of them, including myself, is there because they legitimately want to be there. If this were truly a love letter to Hollywood, all these characters would really have to want to be there. I mean, if you want a true love letter to what Hollywood is, look at La La Land. That is honestly one of my favorite films because those two leads actually are passionate about their craft and they are risking everything to go for broke. And the journey of that film is them actually reaching that point in their career to getting to be able to do what they love and actually have some stability there. Now, I understand that times were way different back then, especially in terms of contracting. Actors these days mostly are independent contractors and they're not shackled to one studio like they were back then. But in short, La La Land is what I consider a love letter to Hollywood. Mank? Not at all. Now, you're probably wondering at this point in the video, Zach, if Mank is not a love letter, then what is it? And honestly, I don't know. I feel like this is something that I'll figure out once I rewatch the film again. I feel like as of right now, it's teetering between cautionary tale because of that ending and just pure biopic, almost like a documentary. I mean, it's cool to have multiple themes present throughout the entire feature, but I feel like the film as a whole, it should have had a better idea on what it wanted to be. And on first watch, I just didn't get that from Mank. And let's be honest, yeah. This film feels very Oscar baity. Not since The Curious Case of Benjamin Button has a David Fincher film felt like it was reaching for all the golden statues. There are certain points, especially towards the third act, where Gary Oldman as Mank will go off on drunken tangents, and it feels like they were obviously written for the Academy Awards video packages. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's those little video packages they put together where they recap all the Best Actor nominees, and they just show little blips of each nominee from the film itself. And it usually comes from a long tangent or monologue. You can't miss it. It's every year right before they present each award. And watch, if Oldman is nominated again, which I'm pretty sure he's going to be, they're gonna show a bunch of those drunken tangents. Trust me on this. All in all, Mank was a film that I had really high expectations for, and I feel like this is one of Fincher's weakest. Now keep in mind, that's not saying much, because as you've seen, I've reviewed every single film, and I think they're all solid. Mank doesn't hold the advantage of a Seven or a Zodiac, where it's a mystery or a thriller. I feel like that's become Fincher's niche. And I really respect Fincher for taking on a project like this, but I overall left Mank feeling pretty underwhelmed. I'm gonna give it a B+. Again, this is not a horrible film. It is borderline very good, and it is a remarkable cinematic achievement. And like I said, I am curious to rewatch this film. Not right now, because I want to let it sink in a little bit more. Maybe like a few months down the line. I'm really fascinated, and I'll be honest, somewhat worried to see how this film holds up then. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Are you guys looking forward to seeing Mank? Have you seen it? Do you guys enjoy it? Do you not? I'd love to hear all those thoughts down in the comments section below, and I would love to discuss this film with you guys further. If you guys are enjoying this content and you guys want to continue discussing cinema and all things entertainment with me, you know where I'll be. Please consider hitting that subscribe button also down below as hard as you possibly can. It's completely free, and this way you guys can stay in the loop, and you'll be the first ones to know anytime a new upload hits the channel. And if you guys are enjoying my content so far, if you guys enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a thumbs up on your way out also. I'd really appreciate that. And thank you so much as always for tuning in and supporting the channel up to this point. Please keep your eye out for all this new exciting content hitting the channel very soon. You guys are awesome. And with all that being said, back talk commence.